Hey guys, it's Shingy. The role of transparency is this year's theme at the Seattle Interactive Conference. It all became clear when I spoke to Julie Rezek, Managing Director of the Seattle Wunderman Network, about how they deliver a value-centric story for brands. The theme of this year's conference is about transparency.
Yes.
What does transparency mean to you and to your agency, Wunderman?
Yes, good question. Transparency definitely for us, for me, and for the Seattle Wunderman Network is all about authenticity. So in the session that I was just moderating, I talked about how I bought these exact black stilettos, and I was, looking at different shoe stores, right? Okay. I'm not going to name who they were necessarily. And it was the fact that I know that I was being marketed to because I got the whole redirect and ads and everything like that, but it wasn't until 4 days after I had purchased the shoes, literally my experience for 4 days after was bombarded with like these black stilettos surrounding my entire web screen and page. Okay. So the reality is that, yeah, I absolutely know I'm being marketed to, plus I'm in the business, so I get it, and I expect it, and I want it. But where the fail of that part came in was the fact that I was getting like double this hit of stilettos after I already purchased the product. So I think definitely from a transparency perspective, it's all about authenticity and making sure that you as a marketer, you as an agency are authentic in your brand and what you do, and you know what you want, you know your story, you know what you want your customers or clients or brands to believe in, and being true to that course no matter what you do.
Rich data for me is kind of the next level, which is exactly what you were talking about. So yes. If you're applying big data to the use case, yeah, you're able to make that case. Do you find that the brands, either that you represent or brands you see in the marketplace, are understanding fundamentally the power of that?
I think they understand the power of it. I think, and it was one of, again, the things that we talked about this morning, is a lot of enterprise companies can use big data because they have the money and they can buy the infrastructure and the systems and the new technologies and all that innovation to get to where they need to get to, right, where a lot of the small, medium-sized businesses aren't doing that yet because of the value and the cost behind them. Mm-hmm. But ironically, I think it's easier for small or medium businesses to get in early and just do it right?
Sure.
So I think for a lot of our clients and a lot of other clients I see out there, they're doing it in pockets, right? So, the big client across the bridge here is doing it really good in pockets, but are they cohesively speaking to their customer base in one single voice? No, not yet. I think brands are getting there, but there's still a long way to go. And I mean, there's no silver bullet, and it's extremely hard to do.
What I think is really interesting is that creatives coming off the back of big data allows them to have this idea of self-heal, right, which means they can express themselves in creativity even more so.
Yep.
But if they're cornered into a pocket where all they have to do is iterate and iterate and iterate in this little tiny pocket of data, right, it doesn't give them the expansive role. So
absolutely.
The whole idea of fast fail is not going to be adopted.
Right.
And so I think that's going to be a challenge for brands it should be more aggressive in terms of the way they approach their data and the way they approach the push of data into the marketplace.
Absolutely. And a lot of brands are working with agencies across different life cycles. Yeah. So they have their story life cycle, they've got their their CRM, RM agency, their digital agency, their social agency, they have all of this. So we're dealing with a fragmentation of fragmentation of fragmentation because the data is big and no one gets how to get their hands around it. Right. Everyone's devices, people are on so many different devices, there's fragmentation all over the place, and even that just customer story ends up being messed up. But I think the good thing is that brands know what they need to do. They have at least their vision of where they want to go. And every step they take is obviously, hopefully in the right direction to kind of get them to that nirvana. I think it is going to be hard though, because the reality is we're all divas, right? We all know, we all expect everyone to get it right? I expect Amazon to know that I have a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old at home and they love Transformers, and just because I bought my neighbor a doggy bone doesn't mean I have a dog at home, right? But I mean, that's the thing, right? It's like data tells you what you should know, but I'm also, even though Wunderman's all about data and that's in our DNA and it's everything that we do, I do believe you need to have this level of high touch with your customers as well, right? Yeah. Because you need somebody to take a look at that data and say, what is the insight really? Does it really mean what I want to be? So you actually want to have that validation. You want to always make sure as a big brand that you're talking to your customers, that you're listening to all conversations and really having the right people that can dissect that and make the best out of it. And there was a stat I just gave today as well, that in 2009 there were 0 job queries that came up for data scientists. In 2012 there were 9,000. So it's just an indication of it.
It's fantastic to spend some time with you, Julie.
Thank you so much for having me.
Say hello.